Before Tyler the Creator became a superstar of his solo career, he started one of the most influential hip-hop crews in the game. Odd Future weren't like anyone else in the industry, and they paved their own way to building a massive fan base. But the good times didn't last, and eventually, they tore themselves apart from the inside. Here's how it all went down. Back in 2007, Tyler the Creator linked up with Casey Veggies, Haji, Left Brain, the Super 3, and Jasper Dolphin to start Odd Future, aka Odd Future Wolfgang Kill Them All. The group's first release was actually a Casey Veggie solo project in 2008 called Customized Greatly Volume 1. Later that year, Odd Future became an official crew when they dropped the Odd Future tape. The crew started picking up steam almost immediately. They had a unique sound and image, and they were able to use social media to grow their fan base before it was popular. Haji dropped his debut solo tape in July 2009, then a few months later, Tyler put the crew on the map with his mixtape, Bastard. They started out as a big crew, but Odd Future kept adding new artists. Earl Sweatshirt, Frank Ocean, and a few more joined between 2008 and 2010, and the group's sound got more and more diverse. 2010 was a huge year for him. Earl, Mellow Hype, Damo Genesis, and Mike G all dropped solo projects, and the second Odd Future collab mixtape released the same year. They also toured in London and New York and started making headlines for their wild shows. Earl Sweatshirt immediately became a fan favorite when he joined the crew, and his debut project was loved by critics and the Odd Future audience. He was only 16 when it dropped, but Complex named it the 24th best album of the year. Tyler and Earl were like brothers, and Tyler produced the entire tape. Fans couldn't wait to see what was coming next, but then the situation took a shocking turn. A couple months after the tape dropped, Earl just disappeared. Rumors were flying that he had quit Odd Future, gone to jail, or even got kidnapped. Fans screamed about the Free Earl movement at every show, but nobody knew what was going on. Finally, the news broke that Earl's mother had sent him to a boarding school in Samoa to keep him out of trouble. According to Tyler, Earl's mom thought he was a bad influence and didn't want her son around him. In an interview from 2013, he said,
"I don't know what it is. Like, it can't be because she thinks like we drinking or doing drugs or anything. Because I've never had I never had a sip of alcohol in my life, and I don't smoke or do anything. So you can't blame me for that. Like, for some reason, she thinks I'm a bad influence on her kid, but like, he's doing pretty good right now.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not the type to just take credit or anything, but like she does not like me for some reason. And I've tried plenty of times to literally just have a normal conversation with her and say, why don't you like me? What did Tyler do wrong? And she just holds
how do I rectify it? Whatever it is.
And I totally do not understand it.
Tyler also talks about the situation on the track Rusty. He said, "Look at that mom who thinks I'm evil, hold that grudge against me. Though I'm the reason that her motherfucking son got to eat." While Earl was locked down in Samoa, Odd Future was becoming the biggest rap crew in the world. Frank Ocean blew up with his debut mixtape, Tyler dropped his first album, Goblin, and then the group signed a deal with Red Distribution and Sony Music and started their own label, Odd Future Records. That same year, they went on a massive tour and linked up with Adult Swim to produce their own TV show called Loiter Squad. Earl's Sweatshirt finally came back in 2012, and fans went crazy. Odd Future was popping when he went away, but by the time he came back, they were one of the biggest movements in the rap game. They had a clothing line, a TV show, and their debut album, the OF Tape, Volume 2, debuted at number 5 on a Billboard 200. The crew got even more shine when Frank Ocean dropped his debut album, Channel Orange, and became one of the hottest artists in the world. The album debuted at number 2 on a Billboard 200 and earned Frank 6 Grammy nominations. Earl came out with his album Doris the next year, and it looked like Odd Future was only going to get bigger. Frank, Tyler, and Earl were 3 of the biggest rappers in the industry, and the rest of the crew was on their grind too. But keeping that many unique artists together isn't easy, and in 2014, it all started to fall apart. The first sign there was static behind the scenes was when Frank decided to fire the management team that worked with Odd Future. Rumors were already going around that the crew wasn't as tight as they used to be. Tyler and Earl used to be seen everywhere together and put out tons of music, but fans noticed that the situation was changing. Tyler did an interview with The Fader in 2014, and when they asked him if he ever felt betrayed, Tyler said, not betrayed, but there were times where I questioned, you fucking with me, man? And it's not even who you might think it is, but there's some times where I'm like, damn, you ain't fucking with me. Just on some friend shit. Like what? Like I ain't talked to niggas in a month and a half. I hit niggas up, no reply. I don't see niggas. Damn, you ain't fucking with T? Alright. But even though they weren't as tight as before, Tyler told the Fader there weren't any issues between him and Earl. He said, that's my we just aren't as close as we were. It's kinda weird, but I'm aware and smart enough to know, okay, shit changes. Shit changes, people get older, people's goals change. As fucking outlandish and outspoken as I am, I don't like confrontation. I'm not a piece of shit, man. I'm fair to everyone. Then, in May 2015, it seemed like Tyler was officially announcing the end of Odd Future when he tweeted, although it's no more, those 7 letters are forever. Fans thought he was talking about the OFWGKTA initials, but the next day, he said, all I was doing was looking at old photos with friends and thinking about how time flies. Crazy how one tweet can stir so much. Some people thought Odd Future was still holding it down as a crew, but then Earl hopped on Twitter and said, no sympathy for male virgins who in their feelings about Tyler pointing out and solidifying the obvious. To all Odd Future runoff, save yourself years of embarrassment and stop dressing like an Easter basket. Go talk to some Trust me, daddy. Even though everyone was talking about the crew breaking up, OFWGKTA was still listed to perform at the 2015 Camp Flog Gnaw Festival. Odd Future had been putting on Camp Flog Gnaw since 2012, but in 2015, the only members who took the stage were Haji, Damogenesis, Mike G, and Left Brain. Tyler had a solo set instead of performing with Odd Future, and Earl was allegedly too busy. During the Odd Future set, Haji aired Tyler out and called him a fraud. Then during his own set, Tyler said,
got me up. I put too many on. I helped too many of my motherfucking friends out. And gonna come foul. And you know who the I'm talking about. And yes, it's getting real. I love you though.
The next day, Haji hopped on IG and wrote, call me jealous, just don't call my phone. Tyler was a fraud. He turned his back on and never crossed him, and I'm not just speaking for myself only. Where'd Earl go? I know we had no part in the carnival. Then Haji tweeted, think about who built the name Odd Future together as a unit. Now think about who took the first initial shit on Odd Future. If it wasn't for Odd Future, where would Tyler be? Tyler responded on Twitter and said, I don't know. Bummed me out, I was side stage like, what the f? Wow, what did I do? It looked like Haji was serious about the beat. But a couple days later, he posted a video on IG and said, Tyler told me to stop being a d. So I said, all right. Then Tyler and him started trying to do handstands together. Even though Haji and Tyler squashed it, the group was pretty much done by that point. They never officially broke up. They haven't released any new music on the Odd Future label since 2016. Some of the members still collab with each other on solo projects, but now they're all focused on their own careers instead of trying to put on for the crew. In 2018, Tyler, Earl, Haji, and Sid shocked fans when they linked up for a surprise reunion show in LA. Rumors started flying that Odd Future was officially back, but it turned out to just be a one-time thing. In 2020, Tyler talks about a reunion and said,
I will be open to it, but I think everyone's kind of past that.
Yeah, exactly. Told you
I think some people base it on nostalgia rather than like, would it actually be good?
According to him, everyone has styles that are too different to make it work. He said,
I don't know if the styles will mesh much for a good cohesive thing. Not niche, like, oh, that's a cool idea. I mean, like an actually good thing. I don't know if the styles would mesh much with everyone, but who knows? This could change in 6 weeks.
Odd Future's rise to the top of the game was wild, but keeping a rap crew together seems almost impossible. Rockhampton popped off out of nowhere back in 2017, and a lot of people were calling them the next Odd Future. They had huge tours, hit tracks, and a loyal fan base. But just 5 years later, they officially called it quits. Fans from back in the day would probably always be hoping for an Odd Future reunion, but at this point, it doesn't seem likely. Earl and Tyler have both changed their styles since then, and it's like they're different artists. And Frank Ocean hasn't even dropped a project since 2016. Now he's reportedly getting into directing movies, so the chances of him making a comeback with the original crew are basically zero. Odd Future might be over, but basically everyone in the crew went on to have great solo careers. Matt Martians is in a group with Sid called The Internet, and in 2015, he told All Hip Hop, "I think it's important for our progress and other people in Odd Future's progress to shed that name. It's a badge, it's a great thing. Everyone has to move on. Everything has to have closure."